Welcome back to the You Never Know Podcast. This week, very cool couple guests here. They're taking over the real estate game here in the Treasure Valley. Her firm is currently ranked the 19th best social media in the country when it comes to real estate. She runs the Arrow and Company real estate firm, Mrs. Arrow Tallman and Noel Sherry Jr.
Thank you so much for having us.
Welcome.
Doing good?
Doing great. Yeah.
Perfect.
Just ran through the storm to get here, so, you know.
Yeah, it's kind of chaotic out there right now, huh?
Yeah, well, thank you for making this possible.
Yeah.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Had to do some rescheduling, but I'm glad we got it done.
Yeah, thank you for accommodating. That's
Yeah.
the life of a real estate agent.
Yeah, of
Somebody
course.
needs to see a house and got to prioritize.
Yeah, I guess we'll just jump right into it. So what inspired you to kind of get into real estate, and how did that whole process start for you?
Yeah, so I actually started out, I was a graduate of BSU, got my marketing degree there in 2010. I'm going to age myself a little. And quickly jumped into PR. I thought that was kind of where my heart was. I quickly realized that I didn't love the corporate world. And so I started my own business. You guys, I'm still out of breath from running
No
through
worries.
the rain.
Yeah, that's always us when we come up those stairs. It's
That's why we started taking the elevator.
Yeah, that would have been smart. So left there and started my own business. I grew up in, a family of entrepreneurs, and I was a little young, a little inexperienced, didn't quite know what I wanted to do. And I was playing volleyball at the time, and one of my good girlfriends was managing an escrow firm. And she said, you really need to get into title and escrow. So I jumped into that, really having no idea at that point in time. I hadn't bought my first house or anything. Jumped into that, kind of created my own position, I guess, in the specialized marketing realm, and went through one of the hardest times of my life, and that's ultimately what catapulted my career into real estate. I was recruited by a competitor, and quickly went from having 2 jobs in one day to having no jobs in one day.
Oh, wow.
So corporate world, it's just a different beast, right? As soon as they feel like you potentially could compromise the integrity of the business, take business away from them, it was like, you're gone. Sadly for me, it was a life lesson that I learned really young, so I'm so thankful I did. But I really had no other choice. I knew I had to make an immediate decision, and the next day I enrolled in real estate school. That's how I got here.
Right
Cool.
on.
Where is real estate school online or in person and how long is that too?
Yeah. So real estate is actually, barrier to entry is very, very low. It's a 2-week course.
Okay.
Go to school. I think they offer it online now. It's been a long time, but I believe that they do offer online courses, but they do day trainings, they do evening trainings, so they can really accommodate kind of anyone depending on, what your day-to-day obligations are.
Okay, cool. And what kind of stuff do they teach you there? Is it like what to look in houses or more financials and all that?
Yeah, definitely law. So,
okay.
So we have, our job is we're not attorneys and we're not CPAs. We coach everyone on that. And we make sure to make that very clear when we're talking to our clients. We can't advise you as such, but we are here to be, your liaison into financial wealth. And so in school, it is more so about Idaho law. Definitely very textbook heavy. It's been a long time, you guys. I think I've been licensed for a little over 8 years now, so I don't really remember what I learned in school.
Yeah.
I have to say it's probably a lot like going to school at BSU, getting your college degree. It's like, what did I learn that really applies to my day-to-day life?
Exactly. Yeah, I can't remember what I learned freshman, sophomore year.
Yeah.
No idea.
Yeah, exactly. So I wouldn't say a lot of it applies to what you're doing on a day-to-day basis. It's about passing the test. It's about getting your certificate and then moving on to real life, which is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was going to say probably a month ago now, just Indeed, I had some real estate company reach out to me and be like, "Oh, if you're interested."
Yeah.
So I was like, "Yeah, sure." And they made me take this test, even though I don't have my license or anything.
Yeah.
And it was questions like, "There's a 3-bed, 2-bathroom, 2,000 square foot home. Who would be the best fit for this house?" And it'd be like, two, wife and a husband with one kid, or a single person. It's like stuff like that. Do you kind of have to start knowing that type of stuff too, like what type of house to sell to certain like demographics and markets and families and stuff?
I mean, ultimately, we're in the people business, right? So getting to know your clients is everything. 90% of our job is listening, right? I always say, like, I provide the information and you decide, but the only way for me to provide the correct information to my clients and making sure that I understand what their needs are in terms of how they live their day-to-day life, what communities are best for them, and, maybe for their children, what school districts, all of that. Of course, I really have to understand my clients. And we typically go through kind of a pre-interview process because, you guys know the Treasure Valley is expanding so quickly that really you could drive down, Eagle Road, 10 Mile, whatever, and every single time you go down that road, it looks different.
Right, because didn't Forbes rank Meridian a couple years ago like the fastest growing city in the country?
Yeah, exactly. It's amazing how much we just continue to top charts over and over again. But yep, definitely.
Yeah, so I know you said you were kind of into marketing and PR and stuff before you talked to your friend about real estate. Did you have any interest or even think about real estate at all before that happened, or was it just kind of jumped into this world you had no idea about?
Yeah, so like I said, I grew up with a family. They were all entrepreneurs. My parents actually owned their own electrical contracting business. So growing up, every single summer, I was on the job sites. I was wiring, I was assembling, fixtures, I was putting in plate covers on electrical outlets. Like, that's how I spent my summers. Honestly, probably where I grew like most fond of real estate and just architecture in general, I spent a year abroad. And so I was actually able to tour all these countries, and, really America is so basic when it comes to our architecture.
Definitely, yeah.
A lot of houses look exactly the same.
They
They're
do,
building them up super quick.
Yeah, of course, it's production, right? So, so that's really where I fell in love with really admiring the, engineering and the architectural piece of real estate. And then, of course, coming back, just really diving into what all Boise. I grew up in a really small town. Like, I'm sure the average price of a home at that time when I was there was probably under $300,000, So being here and being surrounded by more luxurious homes definitely kind of caught my attention at a young age.
Yeah, for sure. So you kind of just started getting, your feet in the water when it comes to real estate after college, stuff like that. How did your company, Arrow and Co., kind of come to be? How was it created? How did you start growing? How did you start growing it? And how did you end up where you are now?
Yeah. It's been a long journey and a lot of hard work. So how it came to be, when I was licensed, I had a couple of really great mentors in the business that I had, gotten to know through my title position. And I quickly went to work for them, joined their team, and then realized very quickly that it wasn't necessarily an environment that I felt was conducive for my own financial security either. Most teams in real estate, everyone pays a split, of course. And I just felt like I was working so hard to get a deal, right? I'm trying to remember, I think average for a first-time real estate agent, first year rookie is like, I don't know, 5 deals or something like that, maybe even less. I mean, it's a low number.
Right.
And so you work so hard, and then when you pay these splits to these teams, I was like, gosh, I don't want to take money from people. They work so hard to get that 1 client, 2 clients, 3 clients. Like, I want them to be rewarded for their hard work. And so I decided to actually start Real Estate by Arrow and Company, purely based around collaboration over competition. I really truly feel like there's enough success out there for everybody. Like, we can all be successful, and nobody's light's going to be diminished by my success, and that's why I created it. I wanted to provide an environment where people could come and they could feel supported and they could be mentored by somebody that had been in the business, but yet still reap the rewards of their hard work.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's very interesting. So like when you're first starting out, do you kind of, if you're working for like a big company, do you still have to build your own name, I guess, like to get your like respect or rapport around the streets, or is it like you have the company, people know the company, so that's kind of where you get your most jobs?
So everything we do is lead generation, right? And every team they kind of run their businesses independently. You know, we're not all governed by the same guidelines, the same restrictions like that. So however you want to run your business is up to your discretion. It absolutely is about who you know, though. Yeah. Okay. And so some teams will provide you leads. They'll provide you call times where you can sit in the office and actually just take calls. I personally don't run my business that way. I believe that we all have a sphere that we could tap into. And so I heavily encourage that within our business is to very, very closely nurture your own network. It's all about who you know.
Right.
Definitely.
So yeah, when you're like kind of jumping ship from like a bigger company where you're kind of just one of the, working man, so to speak, and then you branch off on your own, obviously that's a big scary leap of faith.
Yeah.
But what's that like? What actually goes in that process of starting your own real estate company from the ground up?
Well, you wear a lot of hats, a lot of them. I mean, you're an accountant, you're a director of operations, you're your own marketing director. I mean, there's so many different things that go into running a real estate business. And that's why, honestly, a lot of people fail. It is, you have to run it like a business. And that's probably one of the biggest things that people get into it, and they're just collecting commission checks, but they never actually place a foundational, piece into their business and operate as a business. So as you know, when you make money, you pay a lot of money too. That's probably one of the things I always hear with real estate agents is like, oh my gosh, tax season, I didn't save, so there's a lot of planning that goes into it. How you do it, I would definitely say create a strategic plan, execute. It's something that you show up every single day for. And if you're running your business as a true legitimate business and a full-time job, you almost can't fail in this business.
Right. Well, with real estate especially, I feel like it's got to be a little scary, especially like when you start getting employees and stuff like that, because it's strictly commission, right? Or is there any type of base pay?
Yeah. So if you're a producing agent, like I said, once again, every business can run, their business independently. But if you're a salesperson, then yes, you're strictly commission.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty scary.
Yeah, sometimes that's pretty daunting. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's a big risk, right? But big reward.
Yeah.
There's lots of agents in our valley right now make easily, earning over $1 million a year.
Wow. Yeah. That's impressive.
Especially with real estate, because you're not closing once a day, daily or maybe not even weekly. So it's like.
Not even monthly for most agents.
So that's, especially if you got like a family and stuff, that's got to be scary where it's like, I don't have I haven't closed a deal this month yet. Like, yep. I don't know how, where my income's coming from.
Yeah. But and that's one of the things that a lot of people do. They come into it with the mindset of like, okay, I need to keep my job for X amount of time in order to be able to produce in real estate. Once I kind of get my, get my feet below me, then I'll take the leap. The sad reality of it is that our market isn't very conducive for that because it's so fast and it's so aggressive all the time. So for me personally, when I have people reach out to me for mentorships and they're asking like, can I do both things? Probably not well,
right.
Yeah.
I mean, the reality of it is that this is a full-time job. It's more than a full-time job. You don't make your own schedule. You work around other people. You work around when they're eating dinner, not around when your family's eating dinner. You've got to be available all the time. And that's probably one of the biggest misconceptions for real estate people, younger people getting into real estate is, it's going to be great. I can make my own schedule. I can work when I feel like it. And it's so the complete opposite to be a successful realtor.
Yeah. Because you're working for people who's trying to buy a house, right? They're your client, but you're kind of working for them.
Yeah. You're working nights and weekends.
Yeah, you're just always out there call.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because you were talking too about how like real estate is a full-time thing if you want to be successful and have your own firm and stuff like that. But aren't there also a lot of people who kind of get the real estate license and it's kind of a side gig? Like they have their full-time job, but then on the side, maybe they'll kind of sell houses, or if they have friends who are looking to move, they help out with that. Do you hire people like that? Is that a common thing or not really?
In our company specifically, we look for full-time agents. Like I said, I don't think that you can necessarily do multiple things that well. Now, that being said, I do have an agent on my team that has done a lot of buying and selling himself. He's very well networked in our community. And he came to me with that intent of he still runs a very, very successful business here in the Valley. And he wanted to do it just for that. Like, I want to help my friends. I want to help my family and just people that are referred to me. And that's worked out well. That is one thing, obviously, that by setting those expectations up front, he knows that he has a team of full-time agents around him that can always jump in and help at any time.
Yeah, absolutely. I talked about in my intro, you guys were ranked pretty high for your guys' firm's like social media presence.
Yeah.
I just kind of want to hear about like who ranked you, like how did that happen, and how important is like social media for real estate?
Yeah, for sure. So we were ranked by Property Spark. And they are basically a third-party company that just evaluates firms all across the nation. And so they run things like, top of Boise, top of the Northwest, and then, of course, nationwide as well. So I want to say this is the third or fourth year that we've been ranked. And typically I'm ranking individually as an agent, but also as our team and group as well. How important is it? It's everything.
Right.
Yeah.
I bet. Yeah. That's like everyone wants like someone who's like big name, like they've seen like their signs outside the houses and like they trust them like that. So I feel like that's definitely huge in real estate.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I think that social media in general, is you can walk into a room. If you have a strong presence online, you can walk into a room and everyone already knows who you are. They feel like they know what you're doing on a day-to-day basis. You already have established that rapport and you don't even know their name, maybe, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for us in our industry, where every single person that we meet is a potential lead, is a potential client, or, a potential referral partner for us, that's everything. So we do put a lot of emphasis on our social media. It's a requirement of my team. And I went and watched Denise Ferrari. She's a member of our team yesterday on a top producer panel. And it was just so enlightening to see how our peers actually view us as well, And she was on this panel and they all knew exactly who she was, even though none of us had ever met her. And I think, Grant Cardone, Noel, we did a book club, but Grant Cardone says the power of social media doesn't lie within the ROI. It's very, very hard to measure, right? But the power of social media is walking into a room and never having to introduce yourself.
Yeah.
And that's where you're
That is a very power move right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, social media has obviously taken over the world, and it's such a valuable asset to companies and just people alike and stuff like that.
Yep.
Do you guys have, like, billboards and park benches, or have you kind of steered away from that and just focus solely on social media?
Yeah, we're working on that.
Okay.
Yeah. I feel like social media is definitely
I was going to say, like,
huge,
selling Sunset who? No.
Yeah, social media is definitely huge. I feel like with COVID too, like not as many people were getting out as much and like seeing just like for sale signs or like park benches and stuff like that. So building a reputation on social media is really great. So,
and I'll chip in there. Also, I wouldn't even say social media is important, but also just like generalized media, like podcasts. Like I know real estate podcasts are a really big, like blowing up thing, not only for current like real estate agents, but also like ones who are aspiring to be one, or like they kind of listen to them for like mentorship and tips, which is I'm sure there's going to be some people listening to this one who are doing the same thing.
And just like future investors as well too. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, of course, that's always the hope, right? That we're always providing valuable information.
Yeah, you want to expand your reach as much as you can, I think, in any profession, because like you were talking about, the more ears and eyes you have on your product or your service, the more successful you're going to be.
Absolutely.
But when I was looking through you guys' social media before the show.
Yeah.
Do you guys strictly just post like houses, like listings and stuff like that? Or do you try to post more of like personal stuff, like maybe flex if you have a nice car or you go on a cool trip? Like, do you flex that stuff online as well with social media, or is it mostly just kind of your guys' actual?
Yeah. So I wouldn't say it's necessarily flexing.
Right.
I mean, I drive a luxury vehicle and it's bright red and everyone knows it's mine. Is that a branding tool? Absolutely. Is it a flex? No, some people might say that. I was actually joking with Noel on the way here. Most people think they'll roll up to me and say, "Nice Jeep."
What is it?
G-Wagon, Jeep, same thing, you know.
Same kind I don't know about that. That's funny.
So with that being said, we absolutely, I mean, everything we do, most of everything we do is a branding tool. And so with our social media, same thing. We want people to get to know us, right? We want people to trust us before they ever actually meet us. And by doing that, obviously, we use our social media, and we of course post lots more than just pretty houses. We do a lot of branding photo shoots. We do quarterly photo shoots. We have, a videographer that we use on a regular basis. Like we really embrace the power of social media and people getting to know us for who we truly are, not just a pretty face, handsome face, whatever it is. There's
just
a lot
build the whole reputation.
Yeah, there's a lot of power in video and leveraging that.
Well, then also this morning I saw that there was some like a little office party or something this morning. So like it's like I think it's cool that you guys are posting like fun stuff too, so like people can see like the fun side of it. It's not just strictly business. You're having fun also. Yeah,
and I mean there's obviously a balance with that. We work really hard. Really, really hard. And we like to play hard too, and I think it's so valuable and so important for me as a business owner to recognize hard work. And so this morning we are celebrating one of our top producers.
That's great. Yeah, got to keep the company
morale up.
Yeah, morale up.
Yeah.
I was going to ask about you guys' Instagram specifically. I noticed once Noel started working for you guys, he changed his Instagram name to Noel.Arrow Real Estate or whatever it is.
Yes,
is that a requirement, or do you kind of just recommend that they do that for you guys?
It is a requirement. I made him.
Good marketing move.
Once again, it's a branding piece. Whenever people see us, we want them to think real estate. We want them to think, oh, when I need to buy or sell, I'm going to go to Real Estate by Arrow & Co.
It worked. I clicked on his profile when I saw his name change. And I was like, oh, what's this? What's this real estate company? And it led me down the rabbit hole to look at all the other agents and stuff because you guys all have the bio. In the bio, it's all your agents, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so it definitely works. It's clever.
Yeah. Do you allow him to still post like personal stuff, or do you want it more of a business profile after he gets hired?
Yeah, so Noel's the exception to the guidelines.
Still in college?
He's still in college. Yeah. No, so I think that there is always a fine line, with anything you do, and I think that's an important thing to consider, especially as a young aspiring professional. I mean, I'm hoping everyone that graduates college is planning on getting a job, right? Mm-hmm. It's important to be mindful of what you post. Absolutely, 100%. Now, personally, like for me, I have two separate accounts. I have our team account that I run, very professional image, and then I have my personal account. Of course, still professional. I'm old though, so I'm not out like partying every night like Noel.
Every other.
But yeah, with that being said, he does a good job of still keeping his presence tasteful. So we allow that.
Yeah, that's smart. Yeah.
I was talking to like Ryland and Noel a little before too. They talked about you're super involved with like women empowerment and stuff like that. Is it true you were hiring like exclusively women in the beginning, and then you kind of started to allow the guys to kind of creep in there? Is that true?
Yeah, so it just kind of evolved that way, to be honest. Like when I started my team, I never had the intent of like I'm only going to have women. I definitely embrace women empowerment, very much so. I mean, I have a very close sphere of very successful women, and one thing that I've always felt like is, we're only as strong as our tribe, and by surrounding yourself with those, the top 5 people that you surround yourself with, that's who you become, and so it was never that I was only allowing women on my team. That's just the way that it kind of evolved into. However, yes, this year being the first year that we now have 2 males on our team, we have Joshua and we have Noel.
Was Noel before Joshua or after?
I think you were right after.
Right after. During the interview, you had mentioned that you had just hired a guy and that it was funny that I was coming in as you had just made that hire.
Yeah.
And maybe bringing on another guy in terms of me onto the team both at once is going to be a big change for you. But
Yeah.
something that
Yeah.
you welcomed
It's
that
been great. It's
you
been
like.
great, though. It definitely adds just a totally different dynamic, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, when it was a team of all women, it was like Monday mornings, we have our Monday check-in, and, you know, half of them would be in a robe and like their hair in a towel. You know, you add a couple males to the mix, they're not doing that anymore.
Yeah. That's very
I
true.
mean, that's got to feel pretty empowering, though, when you're running a successful business and all your employees just happen to be, you know, like female. That's got to like make everybody feel good that it's like, especially in today's day and age where it's just like, look where we're at, and look, we're the ones who did this. And then, you know, then you can start letting the Knowles of the world kind of show up. But yeah, that's pretty cool, though. Kind of just big picture here when it comes to real estate, what would you say is the biggest difference between those who have been successful and those who haven't?
Showing up.
That's it?
Showing up every single day. Yeah. You know, I'll use myself as an example. When I first got into real estate, I totally had that mindset, like, this is going to be so great, and I get to just kind of like hang out during the day, and I'll take calls as I need and appointments and stuff. And I mean, many days I was like, you know, that reel on Instagram where I'm like, this is my office as I'm sitting in my bed, you know? And I had to shift my mindset. Like, if I want to be successful at this, and not everyone has to go to an office, but I needed to be in my office every morning at 9 o'clock. And, you know, there's lots of days that I don't leave till 8 o'clock. It's just the reality of it. I probably am not that great at balance. I live with my phone 24/7. I do not shut off. I typically work first thing in the morning when I wake up, and then I'll get ready for work, and then I'll go to the office, and then I'll leave the office, then I'll go home and work. Mm-hmm. And I think it's just about like continuing to, you know, be resilient, especially in this industry. You're going to hear no, you know, 10 times before you're ever going to hear a yes. Right. It's about showing up every day. It's about holding yourself accountable. It's about not allowing yourself to fail, you know?
Staying driven and like having a hard work ethic. I definitely notice when I don't go into an office or something, I'm just working at home, I don't have as hard of a work ethic. So I'm sure going into the office like really just like builds out for you and just helps you stay focused on like what you really need to get done.
It does. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does. I feel scattered when I'm not in my office for sure.
Well, I just think even like sales in general is such good experience for anybody, because you were talking about the 10 no's before you get that yes. Mm-hmm. Anybody in sales can agree, like, it sucks and that's what happens, but that does drive you more. That does make you more resilient. And you overcome like the fear of rejection. Like no doesn't really affect you if you've done sales long enough, right?
Exactly. Nope.
Yeah.
It really just fuels me, I'll be honest. Like, I hate getting no's, but it's just a reminder to, you know, stay humble and just keep working.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've never worked in sales, so I feel like if I like started in sales, it'd be like I'd have a really like a hard time just like getting adjusted to like having people say no that many times, and then until you finally like thrive in it.
It's all about mindset.
Yeah.
Really, it's all about mindset. It's about learning from every piece of rejection and improving upon it. And, you know, at the end of the day, for me, it makes me hungrier. Like, I'm going to go show you that I'll get 10 more because you told me no.
Yeah. I don't think anything builds tougher skin than being told no. Yeah. Especially a bunch of times.
Yeah. Especially somebody like uber competitive, which is me. I hate losing. So.
Yeah. But you talked about like you're working on like your client's schedule, right? Like if they have dinner at 6 and you got to go show the house at 7, you got to do that.
Yeah.
Typically when you're full time with real estate, it's not a 9 to 5 clock in, clock out, right? You have to kind of let real estate take over your life.
Absolutely. There's no balance.
Right.
I mean, there should be balance, yes. But no, there is no consistency. It's part of the reason that I love my job so much is that every single day is so different. Right. So different.
I bet, because like most of the clients are like, they're not always calling you during actual work hours, right? Is it mostly when they're done with their work hours?
Exactly. Okay, when you think about it, they're the ones working 9 to 5, right? So we're accommodating nights, we're accommodating weekends. Anything that they need is our job, is our role.
Yeah. Would you say what is obviously I'm sure both are important, but would you say there's one that's more when you are trying to sell a house to somebody? Is it more like the perks of the house and what they're looking for, or is it more about building that personal relationship and building rapport with them and making them comfortable before you kind of start showing them around?
Yeah, definitely the personal relationship for sure. We can always provide the house, right? But if they don't trust us to find the right house, and they don't assume or know that we have heard them, we know exactly what they're looking for, and that we wouldn't pass up a home that hit the market, I think that's everything.
Yeah. Have you ever had that person where you reach out to them or they reach out to you and they're like, I don't care about anything, just this is what I'm looking for, get it for me?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, of course. I've sold lots of homes where they've never even walked into the home before.
Really?
But with that being said, they trusted my instinct. They knew that I had their best interest at heart, and they trusted that I could go find a house for them and it would be the perfect one without even seeing it.
Yeah.
Dang. So in with the current market, I guess, how is business kind of sped up? Because I know houses are probably selling super fast now.
Yeah.
How has that changed your business, I guess, mindset and work ethic?
Yeah. I'm on 100% of the time. Like I said before, it just kind of goes with the foundation of real estate. You're jumping at any moment. But the biggest thing is that we've got to be on top of what our clients are looking for. And that's where the true understanding of it is. We are in one of the fastest growing industries in the nation and areas. And so when a home hits the market, it's likely that it's probably going to sell in the first weekend. Mm-hmm. Our supply and demand ratios are still way off. Our demand is way, outweighing our supply. And so when you only have a few days to go and make a decision, it's one of those things that for us, we've got to be on top of our game to provide our clients with all necessary information to make a knowledgeable decision on their home within a split second.
Yeah.
Because the sad reality of it is, if you go home and sleep on it because you need a night to sleep on it, you're probably losing out.
Yeah, that's definitely where the trust with your clients comes back into play. They need to trust you because with the fast market like this, if they don't trust you, they need to make a decision within a day almost.
Well, exactly. And that's one thing that I always establish right up front is I'm never going to pressure you to buy a house. That is the last thing I'm going to do. I am going to give you the reality of our market, and the reality of our market is it's going to feel like I'm pressuring you.
Definitely, yeah. That's what I figured. And isn't Boise one of the most inflated markets right now too?
It is, yeah. So
how has that been?
It's so we saw just last year, we saw over 40% growth.
Wow.
So that means a lot of equity for our homeowners. All different ways of which to leverage that. Over the last year, lots of people were doing cash out refis. They were buying second homes. There's so many ways to leverage your home's equity. And, in my opinion, for anyone, at a younger age is use that to create that foundation of financial wealth for you. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's nothing else that you could buy and sit on for 1 year, and at the end of the year earn $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 in equity just by owning a home.
Yeah.
It's free money.
Yeah. How attainable would you say it is though for somebody young, say our age, right out of college, to actually be a homeowner?
Yeah. It's getting more and more difficult, I'll be honest, and it breaks my heart. I bought my first home, I think, when I was 27. I was slow to the game. I was weird about that commitment. For me, renting just felt easier. I didn't have that commitment to a home that I had to actually maintain or anything like that. I felt like I was late to the game. However, the reality of it is that whenever you can, you should. And I educate my clients on this all day, every day. Just having the facts enables you to make a plan. And so for a younger person right now, we do have a lot of things working against you. Our wages in Idaho are still relatively low. Our cost of living somewhat remains low, but of course our housing is sky high right now, comparatively. And then of course we have interest rate issues right now too, where we're over 5%.
Oh, wow.
That in itself, when you're calculating interest rates from a little over 5% compared to where we were at, just a few months ago in the threes, I mean, that's
kind of ridiculous.
That's hundreds of dollars a month, just in interest. So,
Wow.
So is it attainable? Of course it is. It absolutely is. You have to have the right financial plan. Credit is one of the biggest things that I think young people just kind of disregard, and it will literally haunt you your entire life.
Mm-hmm.
Making sure that you're on top of that, asking your parents for advice, whatever you need to do, asking friends for advice. How do I build this? What do I need to do? And then saving. It's amazing when you think of just saving like a couple dollars a day. If you're going through Starbucks every day, don't. If you're, all of those little things really, really add up.
Yeah. So when you're first starting out as like an investor looking to buy a home, do you need some sort of capital, or can you like take out a loan or something like that? Or like what kind of different options do you have when you're looking to buy a house?
Yeah. So, I mean, specifically as an investor, meaning that it's not your, owner occupied or primary residence. Lots of different ways you can do that. I know that there's like a ton of investor groups out there that are actually, pooling money, and they'll basically disperse with their investors that way. There's always out there for, people looking to spend money and to make money and leverage their own funds. So, there's lots of different options like that.
Okay.
There are specific loan programs. The biggest thing is that when you're an investor looking in, coming into the market, looking to just, whether you're flipping or whether you're flipping and holding, the reality of it is that borrowing a bunch of money right now probably isn't that affordable.
Mm-hmm.
So
with all the high interest rates and all that.
Yeah, exactly. Dang. Yeah.
Dang, I was looking forward to trying to buy some houses once I graduated.
Were you?
But yeah, I don't know really.
I can coach you on that.
Okay, that sounds great. Yeah.
I was going to say, though, now that we got Noel a headset and a mic, I'd like to hear a little bit from you. How and when did you start getting into real estate? How did you start working for her, and how's it been so far?
Yeah, absolutely. So I got into real estate the summer after my sophomore year, which was the COVID summer. And I was kind of looking for a job that I could do. We were in lockdown, basically, especially in Silicon Valley. All the restrictions were very heavy, and I was so bored at home. I was like, I want to go out. I want to get an internship. I don't want to waste this summer. So I had a connection through my dad's client that introduced me to Shannon Rose with the Rose Group at Keller Williams Bay Area Estates out of Los Gatos. And Keller Williams is actually the same branch that I work for with Arrow. So I worked for them for the last 2 summers, and I really enjoyed it back in Los Gatos. I was able to do some stuff with social media for them, some of their contact database stuff, running errands, typical intern things. You have to work your way up. But I really enjoyed that, and I decided that I was going to be staying in Boise this summer for the first time. And, when I came back up here for second semester in January, I began looking for opportunities to intern at a real estate group up here. And I happened to have people over at my apartment one night, and I was just kind of talking, and I happened to meet Arrow's nephew, Wyatt, who talked to me about real estate for a bit. And he's like, hey, I know someone that might be able to hook you up with a job or an internship this summer. Let me get your contact information, and I'll get you connected with her, and you can shoot her a message. So I just kind of shot her a message, and we had a little video call, and then a formal office interview about a week later, and I got kind of hired on the spot there. And, ever since then, it's been amazing. I've absolutely loved, working for Arrow in the group. I feel like I'm really a part of the team, not just an intern. Arrow's always texting me about what we're doing. I'm invited to team events, being connected to the social media, being allowed to, help run that. It's been amazing and an incredible opportunity for me, and just building up my networking and my personal brand as well, and just getting job experience. So she's been a great mentor for me, and I'm really excited to see where we can take it.
That's great. Do you think your previous experience definitely helped him get the job?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a lot of different systems within Keller Williams, just our brokerage itself, and Noel had experience in that, which a lot of people don't. Of course, just his energy alone, he brought a really special dynamic to the team. So I recognize that right off the bat, and he's been a great addition to our team.
That's great.
Do you guys ever hire someone with zero real estate experience?
Zero, as in, like, for what?
Well, like let's
I
say
have never, I guess the answer to your question is no, I have never hired anyone that has 0.
okay, because like let's say like me for example, right? I've never done anything with real estate.
Yeah.
But I've done sales. If I went and applied, do you think I'd have a good chance, or would I probably need some sort of background first?
You'd probably need a little bit of background only because, there's lots of different regulations in real estate. For depending on the role itself, you kind of do have to be licensed. So
Okay. So like for a new hire, they have to go through that training course that you were talking about at the beginning, like the 2-week course? Do you usually want them to have already done that by the time they've come in?
nope, it totally depends on the role. And so depending on if they need to be licensed versus not being licensed means, you can't open houses, you can't discuss contracts, you can't discuss pricing. So you can imagine in the real estate game, everything kind of evolves around pricing.
That's a pretty big setback, yeah.
Yeah, so there's definitely a lot of limitations. And so, like I said, depending on the role, we'd either have somebody go to real estate school or not.
Yeah.
I think ultimately for Noel, that's kind of his goal is he's getting his foundational work in and then aspiring to kind of get licensed and move up.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you're still an intern, Noel?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't have
Cool.
my real estate license or anything like that. I'm not out here selling any of the houses,
Yeah.
but I'm kind of in the back doing the admin work, helping run the social media, errands, kind of whatever they need, and just helping the team run as smooth as possible and
Yeah.
working my way up. And while I'm in this role, I'm taking in as much. I'm trying to be a sponge. I want to take in as much from each person on the team as I can, especially Arrow, who's been so successful, and then watching the process of the other agents as well and how they're coming up and coming into their own, and then I see myself on a similar track, so I want to make sure that I can follow in their footsteps and be the best I can be.
Yeah. Is there any like intern or rookie like hazing and tasks that is involved
Funny you should ask.
that you can talk about?
Maybe just a couple of nicknames she has for me, but
Can we share any of those?
He's
or?
great.
call me Muffin Boy this morning because I went and got some muffins for our party.
There we go. That's a good one.
I think that's a HR violation. Thank God I own the company.
It's better than the nickname the fraternity had for him. So
Oh.
As long as he's laughing, I'm sure
Yeah.
it's not a violation.
I don't think he's gonna sue you guys or talk to HR. I think
Yeah.
he'll be all right.
No, but there's no formal hazing or anything. The
No.
hazing is me just jumping right in and being a rookie and having to ask all these questions and not fully knowing what I need to do and just kind of
Right.
jumping into it, and the stress of just
It's probably more of the
transition.
it's probably more of the looks that I give him. Like, did you just ask me that?
You don't know my Starbucks order by now? Like,
No, I would never.
but as an intern, is it mostly just kind of running errands right now and running the social media or helping out at least? Or are you like kind of just like almost like a course, like and just taught? Like what's your day to day like?
Yeah, absolutely. So my day-to-day, I start off with a lot of the social media stuff. I'll send out, different birthday things for clients whose birthdays, are on that day. I'll check my email. I'll upload different things to our database. Then I'll go into our social media calendar and kind of look at what needs to get posted, on Instagram, on TikTok, on Twitter. We're very big about our content, as you guys know, and it's very scheduled out and planned. So I need to understand, okay, does this post need a caption? Is it ready to go? Is it fully edited? Does it go with what we've been doing as a business? It's the right time to post this. So we go over all that. Yeah, errands, obviously, if needed, I am always there and can do that. But I wouldn't say it's mostly errands. I would say I'm in the office most of the time. I'm working, and I'm kind of on call as an as needed basis, in the afternoons after class, and just whenever kind of Arrow needs me. And I'll attend events that we have. We had a great first responders event at DeWalt Winery a couple weeks ago, which was awesome. I was able to attend that. So I think for me, just being able to attend all of these events, get going with the social media and also run errands, just doing whatever I can. It's been an amazing experience.
One of the things that I wanted to add to that, I also did an internship when I was in college, and we were actually just talking about it in our team meeting this morning, is the value that you get from being in a workplace every day. Like, for Noel, and sorry if I'm quoting the wrong thing, but basically he said, like, I learned so much more being in this office and just overhearing conversations about contracts or negotiations or whatever than I'm really learning in my day-to-day class. And that's the thing, right? The piece of paper is always like the experience of going through college and getting your degree is you can't replace that. But in addition, there's so much value to internships and really getting that day-to-day, like real life value. You know,
Right.
those experiences are just, I mean,
Yeah.
I remember just from my experience I didn't know anything about the industry, you know. And like I said, I did a PR and marketing internship, but it's amazing. You're just so sheltered, you know, until you're really kind of just thrown into the mix. And
yeah, I mean, there's no better education than just real life experience. Being in that office, overhearing all those conversations, I'm sure you learn more from that than probably even just kind of studying like a book or anything like that.
Absolutely.
Right. But I was going to ask, how long is the intern process? When do you get promoted? Is it just after you graduate and you get your license, or just until she says, all right, I think you've kind of earned it? Like, what's that process like?
Yeah, it kind of depends. We haven't really had that conversation yet. You know, I've only been working for Arrow since sort of the beginning of February, and right now I've just been focused on doing the best I can so I can hopefully have that opportunity in the future. You know, as far as the summer goes, I want to continue working for her over the summer, and I don't graduate until December, so just continuing to do that, continuing to work my way up, and, you know, I'm sure Arrow and I are going to have that conversation when the time comes about what's my next step and how I can continue to increase my role and, you know, better myself, and just be more a part of the team and continue to grow.
Yeah, definitely.
Is this what? Oh, sorry. I was gonna say, is this what you see yourself doing, like long term, like career wise?
Yeah, absolutely. I love real estate, and I love the social media aspect and the branding part of it as well. And I think that's something that obviously our ranking speaks for itself. We do such a great job of that, and we take it seriously. And I love that we do that, and I love being a part of that aspect of it as well. So I feel like this is the perfect spot for me to be right now.
That's great. Did you check out Noel's Instagram and like caption making abilities before he put on some PR?
You know what? I can't say that I did a lot of investigating. Of course, I did look at his pages. I'm trying to remember. You sold me on your sports page that you had managed since you were like, 8 years old or something?
Yeah. I used to run the sports editing page when I was in middle school. It had like 3,000 followers, and I would make edits for, you know, athletes and try to get them to like it and see it and repost it on their page. And, you know, I kind of started realizing the power of social media when I was in middle school, because I would have high school athletes pay me to make personal edits of themselves, and I started making money off social media when I was 13 years old, and
that's sweet.
You know, that was way before all these, you know, NFTs and all this new stuff that's coming along.
You're making like highlight videos and stuff, or just like
it was more just like pictures, like with graphic design, cool backgrounds, of like cities, and just like different stuff like that. So it was really cool, and I kind of learned the power of social media and what it can do for you way back then, and now, I mean, it's really taken over the world since then, and I think that any business who's not using social media to its full capacity is wasting a ton of opportunities and exposure.
That's definitely,
Did you ever have anybody who was famous, like a famous celebrity, like your reshare or anything?
Yeah, I did. Doug McDermott, when he was at Creighton, he was a really good college basketball player. I think he plays in the NBA now. I remember he did. There was a few NFL players. I forget, you know, names right now. It's been so long. But, yeah, I definitely had 5 or 6 pretty famous accounts kind of follow me, like the edit, and repost on their page. I mean, for a 13-year-old kid, that's
awesome.
Yeah, can't ask for much more.
True, yeah, so it was awesome, and that kind of motivated me to do it. And then when I got good enough and people started paying me to do it for their personal edits, you know, that was super cool too. I eventually stopped, but that's something I definitely wish I kind of pursued a little bit more. But now I have the opportunity to continue making money off social media and understand the power of it. So that's something I'm incorporating into my life now.
Very nice.
Beautiful.
Yeah. I wish I knew how to work social media better. I always just like don't think I take enough pictures or anything like that to post or like give myself that good PR, but it's definitely something I need to get more into. But
I will say it takes a lot of planning, a lot of preparation. Like people think it just happens like on a whim. Like, I mean, these are things that we're scheduling out a month in advance. I mean, so everything we do is very strategic.
Yeah, well, even like celebrities, you don't like run a business or anything. They're just like an athlete or a singer or whatever. They have like a social media team. They're not necessarily posting themselves. You know, it's like they have a team who tells them when, how to post, what they should post, and stuff like that.
Yep, exactly.
It's a lot. I realized that too when we started this podcast, and we, you know, I had my personal Instagram, of course, but then when we started this and we made, you know, our own account, I kind of had no idea what I was doing. Like, I haven't really done much yet. Rylan does most of it, but just like, I don't know, it's a bigger deal than you think. Like trying to know when to post, what to post, how to post,
how to capture people's attention. All that. Yeah,
there's so much to it besides just posting on there.
Yeah, no, it's so true. And I mean, on the flip side of that too, like there's so much value in just being authentic too. Like, you know, all of our business stuff is very planned out. But, you know, that's where I think the power of the stories come in too, is like still being yourself, right? And showing people what you do on a daily basis without truly caring about what people think. I think that's something that is way overdone and, not spoken about enough, is that people are so hesitant to put themselves out there because what if somebody judged me?
Right.
Who cares?
Yeah,
right?
that's always my biggest fear
Who
too.
cares?
Like, yeah, who really cares, honestly?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Believe me, those people are going to forget about you in 30
Yeah.
minutes anyways, and they didn't matter. So,
Yeah. I mean, on the flip side of that too, though, you kind of do want to post what people want at the same time, though, right? When it comes to branding on social media.
of course.
Yeah.
But I think so many people just, they hold off because of the way, oh, I'm having a bad hair day. Just throw a filter on it and move forward. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
I know we're kind of running out of time here, so to just kind of wrap up, I know this whole conversation has kind of been advice about the real estate game and stuff like that, but it kind of just summarized in one piece. What's like your biggest advice for someone wanting to have a similar career path as you?
One piece of advice.
Or it can be,
Yeah, it can be
multiple. Yeah.
I'm like, oh, it's a 2-word answer. Just start. I think that's the biggest thing is like, people wait for the perfect time. They wait for the perfect opportunity or until they have that aha moment. And the reality of it is that there's never going to be that. There's never going to be a perfect time just to launch your career or to launch, your goal or whatever it is that you're working towards. And I think just start.
Yeah.
And
You got to
from
make
there.
your own opportunity, right? And you
Yep.
can't wait for it to come to you.
You can always, you can always improve, but it's just about starting.
Right on.
That's some good advice. Yeah. I feel like that's most everyone's just like biggest fear is starting and then not doing well right away, but you got to like power through all the
You've gotta
bad
power
times.
through. It's so true. I mean, how many, I'm trying to remember, like the top CEOs, they filed bankruptcy how many times, I mean, it's a lot, right?
Yeah.
And they pick the pieces back up and they start over again.
Yeah. So for everybody listening, if your biggest piece of advice is to just start, get your foot in the door and start working. Well, I really appreciate you guys coming on here today. Really great conversation with you two.
Yeah, thank you. I definitely learned a lot. So
Awesome.
Yeah.
I really
Thank
appreciate
you so much
that.
for having us.
Yeah,
we
of
really
course.
appreciate it.
Yeah, it's
Thank you.
awesome. Been awesome, guys. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Thank you for watching this episode of the You Never Know podcast. Make sure to like and subscribe and check out our other episodes on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Also, give us a follow, You Never Know Podcast on Instagram and Twitter. See you next time. You never know.